Good afternoon, Ariane. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Very good, and you?
Very good, and you? Very well, thank you.
How's South Africa? How's South Africa?
South Africa has been warm the last 2 days.
Nice.
Not so much the other days, but yeah, no, we've had a little bit of summer, almost in winter.
Nice.
How's the weather where you are?
It's a rainy day.
So
it's the perfect day to do my very first Zwift ride. Never done one before. So I could borrow my boyfriend's smart trainer, which is nice today.
That helps for a ride. That's almost like cheating. It's when it's not bad weather you make your first Zwift ride, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't choose today, so it was a good coincidence.
We can take the credit for that one. And you've made your way from Switzerland to Belgium, right?
Exactly. Here in Europe, things loosen a bit up. So yeah, I managed to drive from Switzerland to Belgium to see my boyfriend. We couldn't see each other for 2 months because of closed borders here. And 2 weeks ago, I managed to get off over the border. Was a little bit unsure how it's going to go, but I guess I had a good enough story. It's still not completely open, but yeah, basically needed to bring his car back. And I managed to drive through. So very happy.
Since that's good news at least. We're glad you made it through the border and we're not Zwifting from prison or somewhere weird or funny from border patrol.
Exactly.
How's the terrain? Is it much different riding and training in Belgium than it is Switzerland?
Yeah. It's like day and night. I mean here. Well, it's not too far away from the Ardennes, so you can get to some hills. So I learned the hard way that Belgium isn't entirely flat. You've got the Ardennes Mountains. Whoever has ever watched the Spring Classics, the Ardennes Classics, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. There's like 4,000 meters of climbing in that race. So it's really steep hills. I've raced there as well, and it's not easy at all. You really have 15-20% steep climbs, even on tar roads. But here where I am, it's mostly flat. And in Switzerland, you obviously don't ever have such long flat roads. And in Belgium, you have really a lot of small little roads. There's not that many off-roads anymore here. So you really can go forever and ever. Just don't see a car. You never really need to ride on a main road. The roads, however, so the ones who have ever seen Flanders know that there is cobblestones, but not even the cobblestones, the actual tar roads are actually in quite a terrible condition.
Oh, wow.
They just patch the road somewhere where there's a hole and just put like a little bit of patch there. It's just super rough. They've got those cement roads. It's basically like cement plates after each other, and there's always like a little gap. There's a middle gap, which is quite dangerous, especially on a road bike, because your wheel can really get stuck right in there. But also like every what is it maybe 10 meters there's a new plate starting, so you always get that. I always say it's like riding like kudum. You can really count the meters.
Okay. Well, that sounds tough enough. Does the dual suspension help for that?
Definitely. I must say, actually, quite like riding my mountain bike here. Just really to have a smooth ride. My luck is perfect for that, and there's also actually some nice trails. I mean, it's not like crazy long downhills, but some enthusiastic mountain bikers here build some nice trails, little jumps and berms, and all those kind of things. And actually, my boyfriend, they're building like a very long front cross trail. Next year will be the UCI Road World Championship here in Leuven in the town, and for that they want to give the people a bit more stuff to ride on. So they want to build some more tracks that are marked, and one of them is the France Cross Trail, which is something like 160 k's all around the town here. I've ridden a part of it, and it's quite fun.
So why is he building trails? Is he just helping out, or what is the?
Well, he's not actually building the trails exist already, but they sign it. So it's basically a route that you can just follow. Arrows that you can just follow. So you've got a nice loop to do. There's already a Sven Nys route, Eddie Merckx route, and so on. They have different kind of rides around the area here. So when I don't know where to go, I just try and find one of these signs, and I basically follow them, and then I have a really nice route to ride on.
Okay, cool. And is he just building it just for himself, or just so they've got more trails to ride on, or what?
It's actually from the city. They were interested in it, and they just want to call it after him because he's a known local rider. He's like a little bit local mountain bike hero, and they wanted to offer a route as well for the mountain bikers here in Leuven, in Belgium. And so they will just name it after him.
Oh,
He's not quite the. Doesn't quite have the fame of Eddie Merckx or Sven Nys, but locally in Leuven, the people know him a bit. So they will name it after him.
Well, cool. We should have a Spur ride there.
That would be nice.
We could all come and stay at his place.
Yeah. Well, actually, they should come and watch one of the cyclocross races here.
Oh, yeah. Cyclocross must be big there, right?
Pretty action-packed. Yeah, it's huge. It's massive.
Since we last spoke, I think it's been 2 weeks or so, I saw the UCI announced some road events, but there's been no change in mountain biking, has there? You don't have any dates yet?
Well, they did announce the UCI mountain bike calendar. It came out. So it's pretty. But I mean that doesn't really affect me so much because I'm not doing a lot of World Cup racing. But for Alan and all the cross country World Cup riders. It was quite interesting because basically all the racing in 2 months. But there has been a change already again. So they had Val di Sole on the calendar, which was just now recently cancelled again. So I think there will be some changes until the riders actually get to the races. And to be honest, I'm also not quite sure how it's going to be with traveling for everyone. I mean, those coming from Brazil or further away, first need to get there, and that could be actually quite challenging as well. So for me and marathon racing, I know there's some races confirmed in September. The Swiss Epic would be one of the first that could potentially happen. That's not 100% sure yet. The Swiss Championship, they say, will happen in September, but they haven't confirmed when yet. I'm still waiting for the European Championship date. and Worlds was always set to be end of October. I hope that will be possible, but it's going to be in Turkey, and yeah, I'm not quite sure how the politics are going to behave there, whether or not we can actually race that.
Oh, okay. So again, what are you then training for now? With no real, I mean, what is it? What is it you focused on?
Well, I do believe that September we will be racing at the latest, and it's pretty sure that Swiss Champs will be in September. So I'm kind of aiming for that time to be in a good shape. Also having in mind that I will do possibly Swiss Epic in August. So that's kind of what I'm working towards. And obviously Worlds hasn't been questioned yet, so kind of these three anchors give me enough of a goal, even if it's maybe just a possible goal at this stage, but I'm pretending as if they were set, and yeah, I'm working towards that. So I've had a little break about 2 weeks ago, because for a while I was still thinking that some races would happen in June. After Epic, I was kind of, it wasn't all sure yet. And once that was out the window, we said, okay, let's reset, take a little break, just recover a little bit for a moment. And now I've properly picked up training and done some pretty intense work this last week.
Okay, cool. And I mean, I saw in some of the other sports, some of the top, like Formula Ones and MotoGP, some of the athletes say that the extended break may actually prolong their career because they could control training and recovery, and they've had a bit of a better rest. Do you also feel the same for you?
I actually really think for a lot of people, and me included, it's quite a blessing. I've done this 10 years now, and you also step into a little bit of a hamster wheel where you're just going from one race to the next. Of course you have off-season breaks, of course you have breaks in between to recover, but you sometimes just need a bit of time to address completely different things. I mean, so many birthdays that one misses, so many just time with other people. Sure, we couldn't really do that much now, but for me it was really nice to attend some other things in my life. Also just silly stuff like organizing a garage. Oh my word, this thing, you just throw stuff in and you just feel like, when do you ever get to that? The times where you have a holiday, it's just always too short. Like you actually just first need to do the really, really necessary stuff until you even get to those kind of things that are not that urgent. And I think everyone in every job, whatever, be it a professional cyclist or whatever, feels similar, that it's just good to once have a little bit more time to attend those things.
And is that physically and mentally as well? I mean, the bit of a break good for the mental health?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, physically, you need to keep being active always. It's mostly less of a problem. Sure, now we could really work a bit more detailed on certain weakness, I did a bit more strength training than I would normally do when I'm racing, and it gives you a much better base to work from towards the races. So you're standing on a more stable platform, let's say, as when you are just going from race to race and you're kind of exploiting the body more and more without having a really good base anymore. For that reason, physically it was really good. But yeah, just for me mentally, to once be able to completely not think about racing and have some energy to do other stuff. I did a fundraiser and just worked on other stuff that I'm passionate about. The Cyclist Alliance is a bit of a project that I'm involved. That was really cool. So it was kind of pursuing a little bit my other identities other from being just an athlete.
Okay, cool. and has that sort of changed also your outlook on the future maybe? I mean, like, how long are you going to be riding for? What are you going to do? The importance of events versus personal life?
I wouldn't say it's changed now. It's that kind of changed a lot last year when I really thought long and hard to quit the career because I was a little bit in a hole. I was a bit burned out last year. Then I was really thinking a lot about what I would do after and how long I would want to do that. It didn't really change this year. This year, I kind of worked on those projects a bit more, and I know a little bit that I want to go in that direction in the future, but I still know that I want to race. I definitely want to race another epic. So it's more the question of how long is someone going to pay me to do that? That's more the question. It's so difficult to find sponsors, and the pandemic definitely didn't make it easier to find sponsors in the future. So yeah, it's going to be super tricky, and next year probably even more. So yeah, will be hard to get the finances behind it again.
Yeah. I would assume, obviously, coming out of the lockdown and the global pandemic, that sponsors will look double and triple and whatever at sponsorship money.
Yeah.
You mentioned Swiss Epic earlier, and I remember your takeover last week on our Instagram. You said that was your favorite race. What is so special about it for you?
Yeah, it's just really the kind of trails. I just really love them. It's mostly actually hiking trails. So in Switzerland we've got a huge network of hiking trails. It's the #1 sport in our country, going hiking, walking on those trails. Okay. And a lot of them actually suit really well for mountain biking as well. But it makes it in a way more, it's a bit more natural, or a bit more, not every berm is perfectly made, and so you're hacking a little bit more, or you have to try and find a good line a bit more, which I really like, that challenge. And it's just in really beautiful areas of Switzerland, so I just love these mountains. And maybe because I've been away from Switzerland for a while, and kind of being able to ride in these mountains again a bit more, I appreciate it even more,
Yeah.
Like the last 10 years I've spent so long in South Africa that I really see it with a different eye again, to be in those mountains.
And you mentioned earlier you want to do one more epic, or you want to do another epic. I mean, what is the motivation there?
Well, it feels like unfinished business. I mean, we were so ready to kick it off this year, and I had such a cool teammate with Ali Spirar, and then all the people around me. I really just want to see this actually happen, and that we're going to do this together. So it was just like so weird to call it all off while everyone was really ready to go. So no, this definitely just has to happen. And I really look forward to next year to have this whole group of people again on the start line there. So yeah, will be cool.
Also, I saw in your takeover a race you want to do is BC bike race, which is not it's not the normal that I would expect to find on that list. What is it you want to do there? What is it that's a draw for you?
Yeah, it's apparently really good, cool trails. So it's a very technical race. It's maybe also not really the most serious race, so it would be more a bit to discover an area to play around on a bike. I mean, those races that I've written there are more just kind of bucket list items that are more for the pleasure of riding instead of racing. So the races I'm currently doing, they are all pretty serious. It's about winning, it's about giving back to the sponsors, and it's about measuring myself against the best in the world. And the bucket list items are more, hey, I want to see this part of the world. I want to experience these kind of trails just because it's a lot of fun. I think the BC bike race, going to British Columbia, a beautiful area as well. I really love the mountains, and I'm curious to see those trails if I would actually manage them. So it's a little bit that challenge, that's technical challenge that I'm curious about.
But also a bit more focus on the fun, obviously, the fun side of it, and not so goal driven.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would your partner be for that?
Well, I think Alice would be really cool. It's just she's a really awesome friend, and our riding levels are very similar. So I think with her and I could spend really that time with her. So I know it would be a lot of fun with her. I think with her it would be the most fun.
Sure. Just a personal side, you going back to Switzerland soon, right?
Yes, next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
And then just for more training and what's on the cards?
Yeah, we definitely training. It's really like, if I look at the schedule at the moment, it's all like lactate buffering and FRC intervals, and I'm like, whoa, okay, a lot of pain coming there. But we might have some sort of a race on the 20th of June in Switzerland. It won't be like a normal race, but more in a way like an enduro, but maybe with some uphill challenges. So we will only be a bunch of pro riders, probably not more than 10, that will hunt some Strava segments in the area on a race course. It's actually from the race that will be the European Championship next year. So I've been at the race already 3 times, I think. Really beautiful race in the Swiss Alps. So there we're gonna have like a small version of a race. And then I will be going to Andermatt. I'm guiding a week with some people. I hope we get lots of entries there. So I'm gonna host a week of mountain biking in the town of Andermatt, in the heart of the Swiss Alps. Discover this area a little bit more, which I'm very excited about. It's a beautiful hotel there. And then it's another month probably of training. I'm still looking at a race in July. Maybe that could still be an option, but it's not sure if it's gonna happen. And then hopefully August I can get back to racing.
Okay.
In
cool.
Switzerland. Also in Switzerland.
In Switzerland. You'll be you'll be there now for a while, till at least end of August, right?
Yeah, I mean, even longer. It only depends, you know, if I could travel to South Africa again, then the Spur League events, yeah, could be something to look into. It will be a little bit tricky because then everything will happen together. So it will definitely overlap with, you know, my racing, because just, I guess everything will happen in September, October. So it may be a little bit tricky to make it all happen. But yeah, let's see. I mean, I don't know how it's looking like to be able to travel to South Africa again soon.
I don't know. I mean, obviously we've just gone into level 3, but I've noticed some of the international airlines have started flying again. I mean, no word just yet if they're not flying to South Africa yet, but I know.
Yeah.
I think Emirates I saw us flying, and I saw one of the German, or at least in Germany there are international flights.
Yeah.
So it seems like slowly but surely things are getting back to normal again. But anyway, we don't know.
Yeah, the question will be Wines to Wells. I mean, for me, that's still on the wish list for this year. I really hope that can happen.
And do you have...
it would be...
Yeah, sorry?
Yeah. No, tell me.
Do you have any... I mean, have you thought about the off-season yet? I mean, if the season is pushed later, then obviously off-season is going to look different, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really look like that there will be... Look, I mean, they say Sani to see us in December. I heard something like that. But this never really has been a big goal. That's a little bit thing. Look, I can kind of choose a bit more myself, which races I want to do and what not. And I will make a schedule for me that then also works for next year. Everything is so unsure yet. I've only planned basically till World Champs or Wines to Wells, if that's going to happen, which is first weekend of November. That's kind of my usual time to end the season. I believe at this stage I would keep it at that. But yeah, I'm saying this now, and we don't know what's going to happen until we actually get there. But you know, you also only, let's say if we really have the biggest races in September, October, you will come to a stage where you dip in your shape, and then it's better just to get back to training or take a break and build back up the training and not just race yourself to pieces, you know. It's not sustainable to do that.
Okay, yeah. Cool. So just for the league riders, understanding obviously that you don't necessarily train where your coach is, and obviously things happening are online. How do you submit your training data, and how do you debrief and see where you are with your... So where's your coach, first of all?
Well, my coach is from Denmark,
yes.
Which is still a bit more north from here. I basically never see him. It's a coincidence. The 2 times I actually saw him, the first time I saw him was, I didn't even know how he looked like, because I only met him online. So it was a pretty funny situation. He was calling me, and I was like, who's this dude calling me, you know? It was at the Cape Epic 2 years ago. And then it's like, I'm your coach. Okay. I thought you were taller. It was really funny. And the second time I think we met in person, he almost rode over me before Marathon Worlds. We were both practicing on the course, and he almost took me out, so it was really funny again.
Yeah, that won't be ideal, right?
Yeah, taking the rider out of the game.
Yes.
No, it was how it works is he writes my plans. That includes obviously all the riding, but also the gym training. So he plans everything on Training Peaks, or he puts it on Training Peaks. That's where I see it.
Okay.
He has his own analyzing platform. He works for a coaching company. It's called Aim High in Denmark, and they use their own computer program to analyze all the numbers. So I have a power meter on all my bikes, which obviously records my power. I have that. For that, I have a bike computer, and this data I then upload onto the platform, and he then sees whatever I've done in the training. So the power meter is my training buddy, basically. I follow the watts. So he would tell me, let's say, 20 minutes of warm-up at around 140 watts, and then you got to do these kind of intervals. I had 10 times 45, 50, 15, for example, and then I know exactly in the 45 seconds I need to push these watts and 15 seconds rest, and so on. And obviously after a few years you learn a bit what to look out for and what is really relevant. So I don't look every second at my computer, otherwise I would probably be killed by a car already. But yeah, you know what's relevant, and it's really important then to have a talk with my coach. I normally speak to him once a week, so we discuss how I felt, discuss the training, so I really understand how I should do the training, what is important, what not, and whatever issue is important in that moment. So we do that normally over Skype or WhatsApp call, actually. And I also use the comment section on Training Peaks. So there I can add a comment to every training. I can say whether I felt good or bad. And I think, yeah, that's also really important. I used to really be very good with adding all my metrics as well, like adding the hours of sleep, how my mood is, how whether or not I felt sick, and all those kind of things. I'm not doing that as much anymore, but I would always communicate if I feel not well or I feel I wouldn't be able to do a training.
Okay. And that is obviously taken into account, even just on the pure data, because he's looking at cold stats, but he needs to take into consideration how you're feeling on the day or the week as well, right? Yeah, and it's really important. I mean, that's basically the most important thing. I mean, you can have the best coach in the world, but there's just so many things that can influence your performance. Let's say a mosquito at night keeps you awake. You just haven't recovered it well. So the next night, I don't know, there's loud music, you can't sleep. 2 nights you couldn't sleep well. You just didn't recover well. So that will affect your training. So you might be able to balance it out with a nap in the afternoon. But maybe it's also just a day where you have a dentist appointment or some other things to organize. You need to go shopping and clean your house again for a while, and then you just can't recover. Meaning at some point this missing rest will fall back on you, and you need to speak up. I mean, that's my own responsibility to let him know, this just doesn't work. I mean, when the coronavirus broke out, after the Cape Epic, when I realized, okay, this is pretty serious, I really struggled to sleep for a while.
And I had about 2 trainings that I needed to cancel because I just slept a lot less than I would normally do because I was worried. So this is something you can't really foresee as a coach. And there the rider really needs to say how he or she is doing so that the coach can adapt the training and give a rest. I mean, I then just rested out of my own initiative. I just told the coach, listen, this is not going to happen. I need a day off, and we then talk about it, and he makes the change in the schedule.
Do you feel with experience you're better at managing that? I mean, obviously now you understand when you have a tough day not to push too hard or not be hard on yourself, but does that come with experience, or is there something the league riders can do to better cope with off days or difficult training or just having a difficult event?
Yeah, definitely. Look, the longer you do this thing, you definitely learn more and more about yourself, and that's the whole interesting part for me about it, to really get to know my body better. It also changes, I'm not 20 anymore. That also, it gives some changes in how you recover. But in general, it's really important to develop a very good, to be able to listen to those signals. Like I know, for example, when I'm a little bit on the edge, I get some infections, some minor infections. And in the past, I would have just ignored that. I would have it's just like a little pimple that, I mean, what does that do to my cycling? But it's a sign. It's something where I'm a little bit on the edge. So I must it doesn't mean that I can't train, but it means that I have to take really a lot of care for my recovery. So I'm gonna go earlier to bed. I really make sure I maybe eat or drink stuff that contain a little bit more antioxidants, more vitamin C. I just basically try and move other stuff out of my way that could keep me away from the couch. Because now it's really important that I rest. So I don't go out with friends in that moment. And that's the kind of things, you just need to react in the right moment. And the earlier you react, the easier it is to get on the right path again and not falling off the edge.
And does it, what you, excuse this, but what you lack in youth, you make up for that in experience?
That's how you can still, or someone like me can still be a little bit in the game, It's harder and harder to be at the very front of a race. But because I've done this now 10 years, there's so many elements to it, not just knowing your body better, but you learn more tactically, especially mentally. I progressed hugely. And there I could definitely move up on the score list, where physically I'm not improving that much anymore, maybe. And technically I'm also not one of the best. So it all plays its part. And in an endurance sport like marathon racing, you can certainly benefit a little more from the experience than in a very short cross-country race. Also there, you need to know your stuff really, really well, and experience helps you.
And so for the league riders, obviously like 18, 19 years old max, is there advice you could give them to kind of shortchange the experience side of it? What is there that they can be better at the mind side of racing already?
Yeah, definitely. Look, you don't have to do each and every mistake I have done. Although I must say, if you experience it the hard way, you will know a little bit better than if just someone tells you, I told you so.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, certain things, or I mean also maybe a certain type of rider just needs to learn the things the hard way. That's a bit unfortunate sometimes. But no, I mean, a coach. Get a good coach. You will learn how to structure your training, when it's time to take a break. I mean, some riders need a person who pushes them. Someone else needs someone who holds them a little bit back. So you get different personalities, and nothing is really wrong. I mean, I've seen so many different professional athletes, different sports even, and you really get a lot of different types. And a coach who understands you and you can really work well with will definitely avoid certain mistakes.
Okay.
And obviously you can speak to me. I've learned some lessons. You can speak to Alan. He learned a lot of lessons as well, and he does a lot of stuff right. Some little tricks. I mean, just once Alan told me how he approaches a rider from behind. It's basically he tricks it. So he first pretends you would overtake on the right, but then he's going to overtake on the left. I mean, such a smart move, which I would never have thought of myself. And certain things you just, get quicker to when you actually speak to riders who do this on a high level. So yeah, you're always welcome to send me a message. That's why we also do often Q&As to hopefully give you a little bit of a head start and not waste 10 years running into a wall, because that could actually also lead to an early end of a career. But the main thing is to get a good coach. If you really work well with a coach, otherwise, if you prefer not having a coach, just read up about the stuff. I mean, there's books out there. I've studied sports. Those things are often written down somewhere, and I feel it helps a lot to know about these things a bit. So if you do make a mistake, if something doesn't go well, you can kind of explain it for you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it makes sense. How long have you been training with the same coach?
With Benjamin, it's now since 3 years.
Oh wow.
I had a very long time the same coach from South Africa first, and then he was just getting too busy with other athletes. That's very important, The best coach isn't good if he doesn't have time for you. So choose someone who actually has the time for you. The more of a relationship you can have on a regular basis, the better.
Okay. That obviously helps with the consistency between years and different events. Somebody who understands and who's been through quite a bit with you as well.
Yeah. But I mean, look, there's not just one road. There's so many different ways to train, and I actually also wanted a change in a way at some stage, because I'm very interested in how the training processes work. I was a coach myself in swimming, So I was really curious how others do it. And I found it fascinating to see the different approaches. I'm very particular when it comes to coaching because I studied a lot about it. So one has to kind of maybe also try a few different things. I mean, I don't say change it every year, but maybe, okay, that's now a long time for you guys, but 5 years, 6 years, maybe it's time to make a change. But yeah, if it's a golden mix and you found that person that works best for you, stick with it.
So are there any tips, obviously for the leaguers, some of them already training with coaches, but for those who want to transition into professional, do you have any tips to share what to look out for in a coach and how to make sure you're picking the right person to help steer your career?
I mean, ideally you have someone who's got like a sports science background. I mean, that's now, I maybe have really high standards when it comes to that, but for me, ideally a person, a good coach also cycles himself or herself, so knows what cycling is about. Then it's also important to understand your specific discipline a bit. I mean, a pure coach coming from the road maybe doesn't always understand so well the technical aspects of it. I mean, they can understand it if they really make the effort to do so, but for young athletes that aspect is specifically important. So make sure the coach you have really does understand that developing your skills is really, really important. Very important is that coach plans long term. With young athletes, you never aim to win the specific race in a year. You aim for a 5-year or 10-year goal. So, of course, you can mark like smaller goals along the way there, but you do not want to have a coach that just wants to win one Spur League race with you. You want a coach that develops you far beyond the Spur League. So, because, hey, you guys have 20 years ahead of you. It's really a long time. So you need someone with the sense of developing you over those 20 years, which will keep it a lot more fun than if you just try and be the best in the next year. Then you just actually burn yourself out way too soon. So it's really important that someone understands the long-term planning.
Yeah, okay. And you, I mean, I'm thinking now you are like international lady of mystery. You train, I know you train with biking in the Bosch quite a bit. You've got your coach is in Denmark, your bike fitter is in Belgium, and you are from Switzerland. but all of those, and I mean, and obviously Nick Lamont, you've got a long relationship with Nick as well, and all of those have been part of your network for quite some time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's funny. It's quite an international group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of also my life story a bit, you know. I'm born in Switzerland. My career started in South Africa a long time. I had a coach there who really got me to an extremely good level, Andrew Smith. He's now working on the World Tour team of Mitchelton Scott. I mean, can't be too shabby if you're doing that. Eric Leinand was my husband. I was married to a South African guy, and really taught me a lot. He's now my sponsor actually with Canyon bikes. Kind of went full circle there.
Yeah.
and then I got to Team Spur with Nick Lamond as a manager, Alan as my teammate. Really, I would say the best team I was riding for. It was amazingly organized and best support you can imagine for me. And now I've got a Belgian boyfriend. His parents are supporting me a lot, and I've got some people here, like the bike fitter. He's fitting some of the best road cyclists here in Belgium. So I really trust his work, and he's just around the corner from here. So perfect person to go to. So you you need to gather a group of support people around you wherever you are, and if you don't ask for help, you won't get it. So
Yeah.
I learned to be pretty persistent in nagging people to get some support. That's kind of what you need to learn. Otherwise, if you don't chase those things, they don't come to you just like that.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's a quite often asked question about sponsorship, getting sponsors, and how do you approach them, and who was your first sponsor. So for the younger riders, the league riders, either in the league or transitioning into professional, what would your advice to them be? How to approach, and obviously as a sportsman, you kind of got to market yourself as well.
Yeah. Often people think I've won this race now, so I deserve a sponsorship, but that's not how it works. So of course, being successful helps, but I mean, what is successful? You know, I mean, even me. Let's say out of the eye of Canyon, I'm compared to Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, double world champion. Some years back, triple world champion over 3 disciplines. I mean, what am I compared to her, you know? So how I think about it, you know, what can I offer them? I have a specific market. In my case, it's South Africa and Switzerland, where I have some sort of influence on what bike people may buy. But I mean, it started for me way earlier than going to one of the biggest bike brands. I mean, my first sponsorship was a bike shop, and just a guy that knew me. We became good friends. I always went there to service my bikes. I bought everything there. We did races together. That's actually how I went to South Africa, through him. So it's a personal relationship that then developed into giving me some support. Back then it was mostly just out of goodwill. And that's mostly a little bit how it starts. Someone supports you just because they want to support you, they want to see you do well. And this can always develop further, you know. He may then have contacts to the bike brand itself. And when you're grown far enough, you may get to that contact and actually be able to have a value for a bike brand to get the equipment. But you know, even if you get the bike at cost price, you get maybe a few services for free, and in return you either do a great social media job for that bike shop and maybe organize an event for the clients of the bike shop, you know, then you already have a good deal. So it's always important to have a good relationship and think a lot how you can give back to a sponsor, and you then present basically that return on investment strategy to a potential sponsor. But that's obviously, you got to do a bit of thinking, and you always start close at home. So you always start with the people that you already know, the bike shop you already know, and then if that's not going to work, you can always try and just send your CV to a team. It never hurts. If you don't do it, you will never know. Especially if you're in the age of going under 23, you need to get to a bigger team. You need to have more support. You need to get to Europe. Just be bold and try your luck, But obviously, do it as well as you can. Don't just send them like a one-liner and the picture,
Yeah. So we've got 5 minutes to go. As a coach yourself and pro rider, and having worked with the league kids, what advice will you give to coaches in the league?
And I was wondering if you would ask me if I want kids. That's a different question. I just
not today.
Wheels.
What I'll do is the next time we'll do a Q&A, I'll start with that, so it's awkward for a full hour long.
Okay. Now to the coaches itself. Know your stuff. Read about training. Read, but even more so, or equally as much, read about the psychology of things, how things work. Athletes aren't robots. You can't expect you put something into them and it automatically comes out the other side. We're all humans. We all have our personal backpack, and we're individuals. Like, everyone reacts a bit different to things. So don't forget that we have a heart and a mind that can be very strong, very important, and especially working with younger athletes, it's a huge responsibility. That's why I turned down so many requests to coach, because for me, you can really do a lot of things wrong as well. It's not as easy as one thinks, and a lot of how youngsters experience cycling or the sport as such depends on how the coach treated them. So better do your job right, because sport is an amazing thing, and we want as many youngsters doing it as long as possible.
Yeah. So you say coaching is not something you'd want to transition into?
I don't think so. I like to give tips, and I like to encourage the youngsters. I've done it a very long time. I've done 10 years of coaching in swimming, so I really know how difficult it is. Like really every age, from very small to the best athletes that we had. I don't know, maybe a little bit, but it won't be my full-time job.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, cool. So in signing off, we've got 2 minutes to go. How was your first Zwift ride?
It's hard. I'm sweating like a pig here. It's like a little dam building under my bike.
It's because it's raining in Zwift. That's why.
That's true, eh? Well, it's raining outside, so I blame it on that.
So we set the app that the whole group has got to stay together. So basically, the slowest, regardless of how hard you push, all the riders will stay together. So I
actually haven't seen anyone, so I don't know if something is weird or?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's quite strange because everybody's there or thereabouts. Maybe you just
Okay.
way ahead of the pack.
I have no idea.
That's where you usually
I
are.
see
You're
some
used to
lava
seeing no
left
one in
and
front
right.
of you. Eh? Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, at least I'm somewhere in full Vulcano land, so I guess I didn't hit the wrong country.
Would it feel strange to see Nino shit somewhere in the distance now? Will you get epic flashbacks?
Yeah, maybe. See where Annika is.
Yeah.
Chasing after her.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll.
Thanks.
I mean, everybody knows you're on Instagram, so they can follow you there and obviously ask questions if they want to do. We've got
you're asking questions, so please shoot if you have it.
And we've got another live session coming up next week or the week after. We'll obviously post dates.
Yeah.
For everybody to check out. So cool. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Hope
Thanks
you have
so much.
a lucky day.
Keep it up, eh? Keep pedaling.
Cool. Thanks, Ariane.
Cool.
Cool. Cheers.
Bye.
Ciao, bye.